higher frequency based on how much interactivity we're having with a lot of EMF frequencies, such as cell phones, Wi-Fi, and when you're interacting with energy and frequencies all the time, especially if you're watching a bad movie, you can feel a difference. I had a lady come to me one time where she was having a lot of negative internal dialogue, and she was listening to a lot of different hard, heavy metal rock type of music, and she's saying it's like a lot of very depressive energy. She was waking up at night, and I said, well, what's the name of the band that she was listening to? And it was called Disturbed. So the frequency, actually, even in the name itself, you just got to watch. Like, no, I listen to a lot of rock music and so on, and when I'm working out, and I like to have that pump or trying to get into that frequency of, but at the end of the day, you got to catch it in the act and then put it down, because you're interacting with this frequency, so it stays stuck in your aura. And what it's doing is it's a program that's running. So that program will run and will actually affect you throughout the day. So listening to meditative music, getting into a meditative practice is very good. Same thing with what you're putting into your body, like what you're intaking. I feel very dense, tired, lethargic after a big meal. That's why we have these meals, these actual festive meals. If you notice this is where it gets a little bit more down the rabbit hole. But there's a reason why they're positioned throughout the different months within the year. Why these big energetic pushes. But they're also placing these festive holidays within certain parts of the year in order to hold or suppress the energy to ensure that it doesn't elevate. So you may want to do some kind of fast around the Christmas holidays or around Thanksgiving and so on, and not eat as much. A lot of people are overeating, and if you notice, your stomach itself, you should only be eating about the size of your fist. Now, I can tell you this: I've got some family relatives and so on. They actually eat more than that, 3 or 4 plates of a nice turkey dinner. So what we're putting into our bodies, we got to start to watch, especially if you're putting some very dense energy in there. If you're drinking alcohol is definitely a depressant, so that's going to suppress your energy, depress it. If you're drinking some, ginseng tea, some green tea, and so on, there's different things on the planet, different things that we can intake that will actually suppress your energy or elevate it. So just start to watch your diet and start to do some research on your own over the internet, where you can actually see where you can actually start to put these things into your body that will actually help with your energetic maintenance, your energetic hygiene, so that you can stay in that optimum energy field in order for you to release what you need to release. A lot of us are condensing a lot of karma at this time. A lot of karma is being overlaid and pushed through a lot of these chakra centers. So it could be themes that you're going through within the week. I could tell you this. There'll be times where I'll have a lot of clients lined up for a certain day, and the theme throughout that whole day is could be spirit attachments. The theme for the next day could be all about relationship issues. The next day it all comes in packs. So I can tell you this: we're all connected. We're all interconnected. We are now going from duality into unity. So start to start to have your consciousness be more aware of that. Even people around you, the universe is going to mirror to you exactly what you're working on. So maybe have a mantra during the day before you wake up. When you wake up and you start your day, my mantra is basically, show me what I need to see today. Show me what I need to work on. Show me what I need to move or release through. And that pushes me and gets me to the next step. Now, everybody's at a different level of awakening, so don't beat the other person up if they don't oscillate or resonate with the information that you actually are representing, because some people even get stuck in certain areas. I've got a lot of friends and family members when that movie The Secret come out and all the stuff with law of attraction, and that's all they do is the law of attraction. They're just waving flags and this and that, and did you hear about the law of attraction? So, well, yes, that is an aspect that came through within the consciousness back, I think that thing came out in back 2005, 2006, and they're still on that bandwagon, and that's not what it's about. You need to keep moving. Take what you need. If it doesn't resonate with you, you put it in your back pocket and you keep going. There's things that popped in around 2006 and so on, like the stuff that I was coming across with sun gazing and that, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to stop eating and just start staring at the sun. Now, I'm not saying I'm doing that now, but I can tell you, when I meditate, I keep getting pulled back to that frequency or back to that information, and to start to do that, especially if you've got a family and so on, and the internet part with the family, your friends and so on, it's very hard to go out for a dinner date and so on and sit there and just drink water while everybody's eating. So this is something that I'm moving through and trying to get past. Just to add on to the other part of the episode. So when you're looking at energetic maintenance and when you're trying to, I guess, oscillate to where you're at and gravitating, this process, when you're looking at ascension and so on, the process of awakening or the process of clearing and cleansing, a lot of times this is really an internal process. This is not something that you want to be doing in groups and so on. You can do some group activities in that, but at the end of the day, this is a deconstructive process on your frequency. Now, you just got to really look at it this way. You came into the dimension alone, and you're going to be leaving alone. So everything from now until then, yes, people will be coming into your frequency or coming into your experience to help and assist you, but you don't want to be caught or stuck within what they're going through and what you're going through. You want to be able to take what you need and keep moving and keep going. Now, I'm not saying you got to get rid of different relationships, but I can tell you this: once you raise your frequency or get into different areas within that column, right? They're not going to oscillate anymore because the dimension is running on the law of attraction, so they will not oscillate with the lower friends or the lower relationships. You can be moving in through different jobs and so on. Like the frequency will start to not be a match anymore. So you may stop drinking all of a sudden, or you may be have an addiction to something that may just start to drop away or fall away, and then you'll start working out again, or you start getting into more of a positive practice instead of being in that suppressive energy. Now, don't beat yourself up, because if you started to feel, I can't see this person anymore, or that friend, and so on, a lot of times I'll be just sitting in a group, and I just can't be there because the frequency for me sometimes is just too much of this talk. It's talking about ascension. And I'm a big advocate. You have to do this. This is not something about regurgitating information. Now, I do come up with concepts and ideas and so on because I have collectively siphoned through a lot of stuff. But sitting around in groups and different spiritualist communities and blogging online and all this jazz and just regurgitating the same old stuff, you have to start to put this into practice. There's time to accept information, when you're reading information, and then there's time to become the information. So you need to do this. People are just, there's a lot of distraction about sitting in clinks and groups and so on, and starting to did you do this? What about that? And this, all this, what if, coulda, shouldas, right? So when you start to practice this, and like I said, a spiritual athlete or a spiritual warrior, you have to do this stuff. Like, you can talk about going for a run, you could talk about planning to do an Ironman, you can talk about planning to do a marathon, but when you start to put the plan in place, and that's all I'm doing here for you, is that I'm showing you the actual plan or the template or the program that I've been using. I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody. I've seen to have some success so far with it, and you definitely can tweak it and so on. But what you need to do, the program is this: you need to start to eat less. Okay, change up your diet. You need to start to eat and have more of an alkaline type of frequency, alkaline diet. Okay, get away from the acidity. You need to be more hydrated, so more water. Get away from the coffee. Get away from the sugars. Get away from the pops. Anything that is packaged is garbage. Anything that is in a bag, that is in a supermarket, everything that is in a grocery store, most of it, actually I believe probably about 90% of it, is just garbage. You need to be able to start to, and that's why I talk about eat less, is that you need to start to get into more of a raw food type of diet if you're going to put anything into the suit or into the body in order for it to oscillate at a certain frequency, because when you start to drop your frequency, it's you might as well just be having a drink. If you're going to sit there and eat potato chips and a bunch of bonbons and gummy bears and so on, and just indulge in all that acidity and that sugar and so on, you're just going to start to drop your frequency, and then you're not going to be able to interconnect anymore. Now, think of it this way: the body is about 80%, 75% water. So there's a frequency, we're electromagnetic beings, so the frequency is moving constantly. You can tap into this with some of the meridian lines and so on. You can look at research that on the internet. So there is a frequency that's moving, so it's actually pinging, and even when your synapses, or when your brain is pushing off that signal, it's moving. So it's giving the signals to the body to move in certain areas and so on. Now, if you were to cut off that frequency, how would you do it? If you were an outside force trying to play or manipulate the frequency, how would you do it? So when you start to look at, even if you do some research on some of these shows that are out there, the Ghostbusters and the Ghost Hunters and all that, a lot of them are using this EMF counter, this actual detector that can actually detect when there's a spirit present. So the spirit you can't see. right? So there are physical beings, okay, we're a physical form, and there's a non-physical energy that is here as well, and there's also a non-physical you, so you're a multidimensional being, so that non-physical you is interacting with you as well, but there is this non-physical energy, which is a positive frequency and a negative one. So I can tell you this, when I interact with, and I do my mediumship work and so on, or if I'm doing like clearing houses, or if I'm doing some of these ghost busting type of scenarios, I can tell you when I interact with it, the room becomes super cold, so I know there's something there. My frequency changes, so I know I'm interacting with something. I'll either feel very tired or lethargic, or I'll take on the symptoms, like I'll have like a sore leg or a sore back or something. So I'm interacting with the energy because it's trying to get my attention. So I can feel the energy, and then if somebody has like one of those EMF detectors, they can actually hear it, and it'll go off. It'll start to ping off. So EMF, the electromagnetic frequency, is what's oscillating in that ethers where you can not see the frequency. So how can I interact with you if I want to distort your frequency? I'm going to push off this dirty type of electricity, which is the Wi-Fi, the cell phones. I'm going to bombard you with that so that it'll interact with your frequency to suppress it, so that it'll drop your frequency so that you cannot elevate. So you may want to get yourself an EMF pendant, protect your frequency. You can use crystals for that. Tourmaline's very good. You may want to get some plugs you can put into the wall while you're sleeping. There's these EMF protective plugs. Grounding is very good. There's actually some great products out there, grounding blankets, grounding where they'll ground into the grounding plug within the house, within the home, so that you can actually, there's a great book out there called Earthing. So the worst thing that we have, that we created, were shoes. Because it is cutting off that energetic connection. So if you wanted to, like I suggested in the other episodes, with the planets oscillating at 7.83 hertz, when you move away from your mother, the planet, which is actually, we're in a birthing process, and I can actually demonstrate this. If I were to take a humidifier in this room, we are actually surrounded, all of us are surrounded by water. So within a certain density. So the water in this room, the humidity in this room, I can actually pull all the water out of this room. So the process that we're in is we're in a cocoon, and we're actually birthing into this energetic homo luminous, the light body, the light being, the Adam Cadman energy, the energy of the frequency of the higher self starting to dock or to descend. It's not, I think the words are different. It's not ascending, it's descending into the actual body-mind meat suit. So it's trying to shift and change that. So the frequency, okay, even if you were to take the body or even dense matter and look at it at a microscope, it is oscillating at a frequency, and there's actually gaps, and there's actually where there's a distance between the atoms. That's the quantum physics and so on. So what I want to do today is I just want to be able to show you here is that what you have to start to look at is the way that you're interacting with your environment, and you want to be able to maintain almost like a feng shui type of scenario, even with the way that you have your place set up, even with your home, the way that it's set up. I remember going to, because I do some psychic parties and group meetings and so on sometimes, and I went over to this lady's house, and I walked into the house. She opened the door, and she actually had tons of stuff. It was that hoarding scenario where the frequency was just hoarding all this stuff. So there's a lot of garbage, and everything was stacked. And as my frequency entered that room, I even intuitively said, I can't do this. There's no way I'm going to be able to work in that space. I can't do it. So I had to have a discussion with her, and I ended up doing all of the readings and all of the work in the actual hallway, which was more fluid and it was more flowing. And you know, at the end of the day, Spirit places you in certain scenarios, and you just got to do your work. So I was there. I was like, okay, I'm showing up. I might as well do the work, but I'm not doing it in that space. So you have to have discernment. A lot of people are operating on that first chakra, so that first chakra is pinging out a signal. So there's always a signal that's coming off. So basically, you can get into a lot of addiction scenarios where you're eating a lot of foods that you know you shouldn't be eating. You're drinking a lot of stuff. You're putting a lot of things into the body mind meat suit, because this signal is actually fight or flight or survival. But the first chakra is more or less it's what's running the planet right now. So it's all about trying to hold that frequency. So you just got to monitor. You may even want to do a checklist of the things where you can see that you're out of balance. So if it has to do with any type of addictions, could be sex, drugs, alcohol, food, money, work, whatever, it's basically operating in this first chakra. So that first chakra is probably the best, because what you're trying to get is that there's an actual vortex of energy coming from the planet that's trying to penetrate and to move through. And if that gate is closed, then you may start to develop some symptoms with your legs and your hips and so on. You may start to get gut problems. There's a lot of stuff going on, within the bowels and so on. So you may want to start to clear that first chakra, because you're actually wanting to work. They call this the Jacob's ladder. This is the chakra pillar. So the Jacob's ladder, you want to be able to move through these different chakra points, okay, to be able to do your work, because at a certain point, I can tell you this, I oscillate sometimes, and I'll get pulled back down to here, even though I've done my work, and a lot of this has to do with money. The money program on this chakra is huge. So the more work that you do on that chakra and catch this chakra in the act, you're going to be able to oscillate the frequency, because the frequency is going to do this type of a movement. And when you start to look at how at the base, there's a lot of things on the internet about Kundalini awakening, Kundalini techniques on meditations on how to move that frequency. You got to be very careful with that, because you don't really want to be exploding this frequency to move the frequency from the planet up through your chakra centers, because some of them may be imbalanced. And that there's been some known cases where a lot of people have been institutionalized, where they've had mental problems and so on, because their energy centers are not balanced. So it's very important to keep some energetic maintenance and energetic balancing, and to do the work as it shows up. You don't have to do everything all at once. Now, a lot of people want to run through the gate and get the game over with. Now, I can tell you this: when you look at how many incarnations you've probably had to the one that you're doing now, and you're condensing so many lifetimes within this lifetime, because this is the biggest game in the galaxy, and you want a ticket to ride. So don't squander this opportunity. This opportunity is your greatest gift. You basically won the lottery. You've won the galactic Cosmo Universal Lottery, and you're here. So stop sitting around watching TV, watching your iPhone, watching me on YouTube. Start doing the work, and you'll start to see some more movement, and you'll start to be able to get